Quranic verses, on a series of prophets. It's more of a prophets in Quran series. Okay, so we are now at Prophet Ibrahim and his family, and of course his lineage goes through the rest of the prophets. So a little bit about Associate Professor Dr. Gapur. He is a member of the Department of Economics of this Kuliah. He holds a PhD in Fiqh and Usul Fiqh. His thesis was on the title Methodology of Imam Nawawi in Fatwa. And his PhD was from this university. His master's degree was also from this university, and again, the field of Fiqh and Usul Fiqh, with the title Views on Contemporary Issues of Food and Medicine. His degree was also from this university, majoring in Fiqh and Usul Fiqh. And his minor is interesting. His minor is in political science. So, yeah, don't be surprised if you see him as one of the politicians sometime later, inshallah. He is now holding some important posts as Sharia advisor or consultant for Sharia Review Bureau of Bahrain since 2018. Member of Sharia Board of Experts under National Rating Agency of Russia. Okay. By the way, he's Russian by nationality. Islamic Leadership Today, these are among his recent publications. One in Islamic Leadership Today, one on wealth distribution, and the other one is, the latest one is on Waqaf. So, I think regardless of all this, I think personally the most important fact about Associate Professor Dr. Gapur, to me is, and to many of us here, is actually the fact that he hardly know English and Arabic before coming to Malaysia. So yes, you will actually then be surprised of at your own level of English, at your own level of Arabic, and I guess he's students. The guys, so students are queuing. So hopefully that becomes a motivation for us all, believe yourself, especially myself, brother. Okay. So yes, as he's already eager, don't play with Russian. By the way. So I'll just pass the session to him. Okay, thank you.
Okay. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you, Dr. Mahidi, for this introduction, which was 80% of it unnecessary. So anyway, inshallah, without further ado, we start our talk or whatever, inshallah, session that we have, which is, as Dr. Mahidi mentioned, continuation of that chain of the talks that we had earlier. For some reasons, it happens that there is a huge gap always between one and another. So anyway, anything that continues is better than, or it happens once and never continues, as it is stated in the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. The beloved amal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one which is in continuous way, even if it's very small or very little. Now, we spoke before this about many prophets, about the Assoc of Quran, or the stories of Assoc al-Anbiya, the stories of the prophets and messengers, the lessons that we can extract from this, the major ones. All the lessons we cannot take, because only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know how much wisdom that can be taken out of this, but according to our ability, we try to extract as much as we could, based on the interpretations and tafsirs that are provided by great scholars of Islamic heritage. Recently we spoke about, I mean in the previous one we spoke about the Ibrahim alayhi salam by himself and his son Ismail, the first one that was granted to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a gift, or we can say gifted to him at his very old age. A man was almost 100 years old. Some say 80 something, some others say 90 something. And his wife was just only a few years difference in terms of age. Later on she will give birth to Ishaq and the family continues. But Ismail comes from one wife, which is Hajar, and the Ishaq comes from the other wife, which was very, very old age. Basically, if it wasn't the mu'jiza or miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically by natural law, wasn't possible to happen. So we'll talk about this inshallah. Now, we just to connect with what was the previous one and what we're going to talk about today. We mentioned that Ismail alayhi salam was given to Ibrahim at that age, and then Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in various ways. He had to leave his family with his young wife and a very small child, Ismail, in the open desert, which later on happened to be Mecca, and the Kaaba was built at that time because it was the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to leave them there. Without absolutely anything, just a little bit of water and a little bit of food, which is enough for 1 or 2 days maximum, and he left. But the iman of the mother of Ismail was so strong that finally when she was confused, she didn't know why they are left there, and Ibrahim is leaving them in the very open, very hot area, in an open area, absolutely. She finally asked, because she was a very strong believer, is it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered you to leave us here? He said, yes. And then she submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not waste us, He will not cause any zulm to us. So this was the iman of his wife, the Hajar. And he left them there. Then he went back to the area of Palestine. In different areas they used to stay. Once in a while he used to visit his family, of course, going back to the area of Mecca to see what's happening, and he could see Ismail is growing. And we also mentioned that the way Ismail alayhi salam, his lineage, we can say, merged with pure Arabs, with the own Jurhum. By the way, Arabs already existed at that time. Those who think that, in case if some people think that Yahud and Arabs, they are basically cousins and they're coming from the same, that is not true. That is not. Yahud never existed when Arabs were already there. The whole Jurhum is a very good example of that, especially in the starting from the part of the Yemenis part of this world. So when the people or the caravan of the pure Arabs, the Jurhum, were on their way and they passing by the Mecca area where already Ismail and his mother Hajar were there, they asked for permission to stay there because there was water, and they realized that there's going to be somehow shelter in the future. People would be coming there and so and so. But of course the Hajar allowed them without having the controlling right over the water, which is the Zamzam. And Zamzam was also given as a gift, just to mention, to refresh what we spoke about. Zamzam water was given as a gift to that family at that time. Zamzam water never existed before that. And so, based on the authentic hadith, that water, when Hajar and his son Ismail were desperately running between Safa and Marwa, that's how, according to some hadith, Jibreel alayhi salam was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and by his wing, in some narrations say the water, by touching the ground, the water came out, because we need reason for something. You need to do something in order something to happen. And some narrations say that Ismail was crying, and the way he was touching the ground, from there the water flourished. Whatever it is, we know that that water was given as a gift to that very special respect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Up to now, the barakah of that water continues. So now, Ibrahim alayhi salam visits his family there and comes back to his the other family, which is his old wife, Sarah. Then we continue from here. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam receives guests, very honored guests, but at the time he doesn't know who they are. So having fear, good tidings about Ishaq and Yaqub, okay, and then informing Ibrahim about the coming punishment for the own Lut. All these things happen in one session. So we'll go slowly. We need to connect every single piece of it so that we can imagine. We're not trying to make movie out of it, but based on the ayat of the Quran, we need to imagine, because otherwise there is no point to give us this type of qasas or stories from the Quran by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, unless if we try to imagine, unless if we try to make some kind of picture in our mind, to build some kind of picture in our mind. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam is a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, very devoted, one of the ulul azm, we can say, in Arabic, as we say, one of the closest among the chosen ones. Basically, all the prophets and messengers who came in this dunya until our Prophet ﷺ basically came from that sulalat, we can say, or lineage of Ibrahim alayhi salam. That is a great respect and honor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to that family. So while Ibrahim at home, he receives guests, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about this in the Surah Al-Dhariyat and some other Surah Hud and Surah Al-Hijr will come later on. هل أتاك حديث ضيف إبراهيم المكرمين. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals this ayahs to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do you know about the visit of the honored guest of Ibrahim? So he doesn't know, of course, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues this ayahs to tell to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that later on we also know about this, all the Muslim Ummah, what happened at that time. Exactly, specifically describing what happened in his house. إِذْ دَخَلُوا عَلَيْهِ فَقَالُوا سَلَامًا. They gave greetings, gave salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam, of course, returned the salam. قَالَ سَلَامًا قَوْمٌ مُنْكَرٌ. I don't know you. So it's like, he said salam, but in himself, he said, these people, I don't know them, who they are. But prophets and messengers, they know once some very nice-looking, good people come to them as guests, it's not just like this, by coincidence. There is something there. Okay? So what he did, he immediately went, we can say, to the kitchen or at the backyard, wherever, he slaughtered a calf, lambu kachina. It's a very special one, not like a big cow, very good taste, He prepared it, probably together with his wife, I believe, and the fat one. By the way, they didn't have the issue of obesity at that time, so the fat cow at that time was something good. So yeah, so that's why it was very preferable food. Now, فَقَرَّبَهُ إِلَيْهِمْ قَالَ أَلَا تَأْكُلُونَ. And then after it took time, of course, to slaughter, to do everything, to prepare. It took time. Quran doesn't have to talk about this, which means guests were waiting. So he served the food, and then what he said, أَلَا تَأْكُلُونَ. You don't eat. You don't touch the food. And then it's like, let me tell you this, in many societies, including especially Arabs, up to date, if the guests come and they don't touch your food, it means they can do something, either warning or threatening or declaring the war or something. So which means I don't want any food because I didn't come here to, to entertain or whatever. We came here to tell you that this is going to happen, something like this. So people come to your house and they don't eat, there is something behind that. So that's what we need to understand. So those areas, people had this type of culture as well. Then what happened? فَأَوْجَسَ مِنْهُمْ خِيفًا. He got scared. These people, it means there is something there. He got scared. Scared in the sense, of course, these are prophets. Felt something, fear is there. Okay? And then, of course, Malaika understood. He doesn't know that these people are Malaika or angels. They understood it immediately because they know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them this knowledge. قَالُوا لَا تَخَفْ. Don't worry. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. This is not what you think. So very good. Inside the ayah, it's already there. Don't worry about this. وَبَشَّرُوهُ بِغُلَامٍ عَلِيمٍ. And they gave him tidings about the learned boy. So which is Ismail, that is about to Ishaq, that is yet to come after this. Okay. Now he already had gift, mashallah, of Ismail, which is left there in Mecca area. Now back in his own Palestine area, he received these guests and they gave him these good tidings. Now, فأقبلت امرأته في سرة فسكت وجهها. The old lady, his wife, Ibrahim, she was shocked. So, Ghulam, I mean, a baby? Then she's left, like on her face, and it's like, usually what women, shouting or screaming or whatever, getting astonished, like me in my age, and that's Quran exactly describes it. فسكت وجهها وقالت عجوز عقيم. I am an old and barren old woman. How is it possible? So this is what happens at that particular moment. But in other ayats, in Surah Hud, for example, in order to understand any story of Quran, you need to merge absolutely all the ayats which talk about the same story. So then only all the puzzles can be brought into one. Now, in Surah Hud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلَقَدْ جَاءَتْ رُسُلُنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ بِالْبُشْرَى. There's different wordings, but the same meaning. Our messengers. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear. And in that ayah, guests. If you look from the perspective of Ibrahim, they are guests. But here Allah knows our messengers. So nobody has any doubt. Maybe it's only Ibrahim interpreted like this. Allah says these are our messengers. So these are malaika. Okay, and they gave him tidings. قالوا سلام قال سلام. Now the salam is also repeated here as in other ayats. فما لبث أن جاء بأجل حديث. So this well-prepared slaughtered calf meat, is also described here. فلما رأى أيديهم لا تصل إليه نكرهم فأوجس منهم خيفة. Again, Quran describes that when he found that their hands do not reach the food, he got scared. He got, the fright was there. So again, they say, لا تخف إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم لوط. We came here basically to continue our journey to go to your nephew's people. Nephew is a Lut. Lut was the son of brother of Ibrahim, for those who are not sure about this. So Lut also, according to what we understand from the Quran, he also was a prophet from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he had his own mission in his area, in his whatever the place that he was dwelling in, to his people to preach the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so and so. So because of their atrocities, because of their horrible sins, and the blasphemy and everything that they used to commit, these Rusul, they came like a transit, you can imagine. Transit through house of Ibrahim, telling him, giving him good tidings about Ishaq and the grandson Yaqub later on. And at the same time, informing him that we basically are going to your nephew's place. Those people, they need to be punished. Now, again, the woman, the Ibrahim's wife, Sarah, her action is described in this ayah. وَامْرَأَتُهُ قَائِمَةٌ فَضَحِكَتْ. She smiled, according to some interpretation, and some others say she laughed. When they said, we basically are sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go to your nephew's people, to Lut's people, and to punish them, she laughed. So we'll talk about this later, inshallah. What could be what are the interpretations why she smiled or why she laughed? And then they gave her tidings that there will be Ishaq, وَمِنْ وَرَاءِ إِسْحَاقِ يَعْقُوبَ. This ayah, in this surah, we see the confirmation that not only Ishaq, as in the previous ayat in Zariyah, but the grandson Yaqub will also be coming from their sulala, coming from their lineage. So it's like the tidings, not only you have Ismail there and you are going to get Ishaq now. Not only that, after that there will be another generation coming from this Ishaq, Yaqub. By the way, those who are trying to interpret that Zabihullah, as they say, the son of Ibrahim, Ismail, Ibrahim was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to slaughter his son, to sacrifice to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he was taught by Allah. This story, some, especially Yahuds, they try to interpret that it was Ishaq, to make even the level of Ishaq higher. Before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are the same. They are all our fathers, who can say our old prophets. But this ayah proves that this is a wrong interpretation. Why? Because in case if Ishaq was the one that was supposed to be slaughtered, let's say, it's impossible to give tidings about the grandson which will come from the Ishaq. Then Ibrahim doesn't have to be worried about it. Allah will send Yaqub from this, so it's just a kind of a small test, you know, like Allah will stop me, because if I kill him, how the Yaqub will come later on. You understand me? All these stories have no basis at all. It's definitely about Ismail. Okay? Because when he was about to slaughter him, he was really sure that he's going to slaughter him and finish it right there, unless Allah, only because Allah stopped him. So this is how he showed his sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is just a kind of complimentary thing to tell you. Okay, and then she is shocked, and she says, what? Wow to me, you know, like it's just like a kind of curse, and I mean in a different way, not a real curse, but how is it, you know, shall I give birth while I am an old woman, and at the other place it says barren woman, and my husband is an old man. Now she emphasized not only on herself, my husband is also. Some people, those who give additional comments on the tafsirs of the Quran, they talk about this, that the aspect of being a woman came out from Sarah at that particular moment, because she could have just simply said about herself, rather than describing the old man that he's also old man, you know. She could have said about herself and that's it, finish it. But she said, he's also old man. So the natural aspect, the woman aspect, you know, came out from there, they say, by saying this, you know, not only me, but this one's also old man, and how we're going to have a child. So anyway, I mean, these are human beings. Yes, Ibrahim a.s. is a messenger, is a prophet, but don't forget, these people are human beings anyway. And his wife is not the prophet, is not the messenger. So, and she acts as yes, she is a strong believer, she was a strong believer, but human being, yeah. Now, angels, the lessons that we take immediately from now, angels may come in the form of humans. Sometimes in the form, in their original form, as prophets also saw Jibreel alayhi salam and other situations. Sometimes they come in the form of humans. Even to our Prophet he came, Jibreel alayhi salam came once in the form of Dihiyat al-Kalbi, which is one of the companions of prophets also. Now, even prophets sometimes may not recognize them. Not necessarily prophets, no. When they came, he thought they're just ordinary people. And then if he knew that if he already knew that they are angels, there would be no reason to go and slaughter, because they don't eat like we do. You know? So it is clear that he didn't know that they were angels. But he knew they are guests, and guests should be respected. Now, Ibrahim, in contrast to Sarah, is not shocked of the tidings. If you observe the previous two ayahs from the Zariyat and Hud, you wouldn't see that Ibrahim was shocked and saying, how come I'm an old man and this and that. He is a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows, إِنَّمَا أَمْرُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونُ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wished, you know, to do something, it will happen without any doubt. His wife is the one that is shocked, you know. Now, tidings are not only about Ishaq, but Yaqub as well. So it's like, not only your family, mashallah, the coming generation also blessed because of you. This is the great honor that Allah gives you. Now, some interpretation of why Sarah smiled or laughed. Welcome, Prof. Now, one of them, after showing generosity to all these guests, they didn't eat. They didn't touch the food. At that particular moment, neither Ibrahim a.s. nor his wife know that they are angels. At that particular one of the interpretation, and it's like, let me put it in a simple way. It's very funny, you know, these are guests and we serve this much good food and they don't even touch it. It's like, you know, you start. This smile is not really from the happiness, but being astonished, you know, what is this? You know? This is one of the interpretation that she smiled. And the other one, she knew, Ibrahim knew, and she knew. The stories go out from the village everywhere, you know, the stories that's happening in the village of Lut alayhi salam, that these people are, you know, committing all those dirty atrocities. They knew about this and they didn't know how to help their nephew and how to bring these people back to the right path. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to punish them. That's what they do. And she was like, okay, this is good now. So they never listened to Lut alayhi salam, they never listened to the good advice. okay, let them receive the punishment now. One of the other interpretation is that she was like happy to see that finally the punishment is coming to them. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam, at the beginning, he had this frightness, we can say. He was scared, and he didn't know what to imagine that situation. And then after that, they said, don't worry, we're angels, we're from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then the ayats describe the situation of Ibrahim. فَلَمَّا ذَهَبَ عَنْ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الرَّوْعُ وَجَاءَتْهُ الْبُشْرَى يُجَادِلُنَا. After the situation, the feelings of being scared, this frightened is gone, he feels more confident. And then after that, hey, you want to punish the whole Lut, but there is Lut, how, you see, just before this, when they didn't touch the food, you were scared. Your attention was paid and at that particular level. Not because Ibrahim is scared of anything, he's scared only of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the situation was that his attention was paid only at that particular level. You don't eat, it means you came with something scary, threatening or warning. What's it? At that particular level. He didn't think about Lut, he didn't think about others. But after that, when they said, don't worry about this, don't be scared. And besides, we are giving good tidings, and there will be your grandson, Yaqub. And so now, Ibrahim also a human being. So after that, when he feels more confident, more relaxed, then he said, Quran says, then after that, he started arguing with us. Allah says, he started, but there is, how come you are going to destroy and punish those people, but there is a Lut and his family. You see the confidence after that comes, So the Quran describes it. When the fright had left Ibrahim and the good tidings had reached him, he began to argue with us. After this is the condition of human being concerning the people of Lut. And of course, he did not argue just for the sake of argument or just for the sake of thinking that what he knows is more than what the angels know. But because, as Quran says, إِنَّ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لَحَلِيمٌ أَوَّاهٌ مُنِيبٌ. It's because he was so good-hearted, frequently returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forbearing, grieving, and concerned about that. Because of that, not because he just wants to put himself on the level of Malaika, which came by the order of Allah, and to argue. You understand me? This Quran gives us lesson. Don't think that Ibrahim started arguing as just any ordinary human being, but because his heart was like this. Try to help and to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show more mercy rather than punishing because of that. Now, and then he continues, but there is a Lut, there's Lut, Ibrahim, his nephew. And then, of course, angels say, we know better than anyone who is there. We know that Lut is there, his family is there, and we know everything. Okay? And then, in his house, right there, Ibrahim is promised that Lut and his family will not be punished, or they will not be suffering from the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like all the guarantee. Because they said, لَنُنَجِّيَنَّهُ وَأَهْلَهُ إِلَّا امْرَأَتَهُ كَانَتْ مِنَ الْغَابِرِينَ. For sure, him, the Lut, and his family, except his wife, she will be among those who will be punished. Who will save them? Don't worry. So, khalas. Now Ibrahim, alayhi salam, he knows that the punishment will be there, but Lut and his family will be saved. But the wife, which decided not to follow Prophet Lut, she will be among those who the punishment. Now, when Ibrahim started arguing some more, asking about Lut, and then directly the ayah comes. Of course, when angels say to Ibrahim anything, it is by order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they said, Ya Ibrahim, Arizan hada. Ibrahim, stay away from this, which means give up this plea. Khalas, this is in the law, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decreed. Don't even think that there is a possibility to change. We know this is what we came. The order must be fulfilled. Give up this plea. Okay? Indeed, the command of our Lord has come. Nothing will return, and indeed they will reach them a punishment that cannot be repelled. It's non-negotiable. Well, how much you ask? It happened even in the time of Prophet, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then when he used to make some dua against those who killed the Hafazat al-Quran, and so Allah stop. This dua will not be answered. That is the qada and qadar. So it happens. So they make dua because they are good heart. They make dua, they know the punishment of Allah is very strong. Ya Allah, please show mercy. But if it is already decreed by Allah, it means these messengers, whoever they are, they don't know the ilm that Allah SWT has. So it means it must be like this. These prophets, they do their job, being as good people, good prophets, good messengers. Khalas, you have done your job, that's it. Whether to answer this dua or not, it is up to Allah SWT. You, messengers and prophets, you still remain the slaves of Allah SWT. Okay, even though you are the chosen and the good ones. Now, angels remind Ibrahim about borderline, even in case of plea. Okay, khalas, don't go beyond that. Don't ask. This is done before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once Allah decree, it will happen. So this is the message they also convey to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now, very briefly, even though we'll talk about Yaqub, inshallah, and his children later on, Yaqub, which is son of Ishaq, and in the following talks, inshallah, we'll talk about this, but briefly to tell you, because usually when we talk about prophets, we talk about like by order, next happened like this, next happened like this, but in the time of, in case of Ibrahim's family and Ismail being gifted to by Allah and Ishaq and this is like simultaneously. And Lut is there right there, the punishment of Lut. It's like you need to somehow jump from one to another, bringing you back to the same story. Otherwise, because many actions or many things happen at the same time or within a short while, so that's why we have to be, jumping or managing between all the stories. Now, what happens? Ishaq gets married at 40 and blessed with twins. Some say Is or Isu, according to some narrations, not from the Quran, but some narrations that it happened to be later the father of Romans, Allah. And Yaqub, or his name is Israel. Starting from that Yaqub, which is Israel, also another name of Yaqub, all those mentioned in the Quran, Ya Bani Israel, Ya Bani Israel, all the children of Yaqub, children of Yaqub, children of Israel, that's how the Quran refers to them. Anybody who came from the lineage of Yaqub, they were called Bani Israel. Okay? Yusuf is included there and others, okay? So that you all know. Now, then what happened? Upon growing up, the quarrel grew between the twins. Family, human beings. Esau and Yaqub, they're twins. And they say Esau was more on hunting, and while Yaqub was more on fishing, catching the fish and this and that. So sometimes the jealousy used to be there, because if your hunting is not good, but you see a lot of fish that your brother gets, and so whatever it is, things used to happen in that negative way, and the mother sent Yaqub to her brother in Haran. Before the quarrels turned into the conflict, disputes, and then finally conflict, mother, she's concerned, both of them are her sons, so she doesn't want. And she sent Yaqub, which is, they consider him somehow younger, even though they are twins, to her own brother, which means the uncle of Yaqub, to stay there. Okay? And she sent Yaqub to her brother, and he worked there as a shepherd and got married with Leah, they say, eldest daughter of that uncle, cousin. Even in our Islam, there is nothing wrong to get married with cousins. It's only up to the cultures that some people, including mine, they cannot even think about this, getting married with cousin. Even there's the tribe, not only the cousin. And then at that time, the hukum, or the ruling of the then Sharia, was allowing to get married with sisters at the same time. In our Islam, in our Sharia, it is also permissible, as Uthman got married with the daughters of Prophet, but after one divorced or after one dies, then only. But simultaneously, at the same time, two sisters and wife of one person is haram. In their Sharia at that time, it was permissible. So he got married with Leah, the eldest daughter, and then he got married with the younger daughter of the same uncle. They call it Rahil or Rachel in English, they say. The youngest one. So altogether he got 12 sons. Asbat, those who are called in the Quran Asbat, Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, Asbat. These Asbat are the grandchildren, yes, of Ishaq, because they are children of Yaqub. Okay? Now Yaqub and his family settled in Orshalim, today Jerusalem or Quds. They settled there, And Yaqub is the one who built the mosque, Bayt al-Maqdis, the one which is our heart, part and parcel of our Islam, you know, the same like Mecca, Masjid al-Haram, and the Quds is our, you know, part which is part and parcel of our Islam and Iman, we can say. So it was built by him at that time. So 20 years later, Yaqub meets his parents, brother Esau, in Canaan. And then after that, after he joined together back with his family, Ishaq, by that time very old man, he buried him there, and the mother as well, and you know, we don't have more details about that. But the issue here, finally, there was reunion in the family, and Ishaq and his wife, which means the parents of these two brothers, they were still alive, and like in simple words, happy ending. So we need to go back to our own story, the qasas, we can say. Now, informing Ibrahim about Allah's decree on most people. Now, it's more detailed description on what's going to happen with the home of Lut. Okay? Even though later it will come some more, but in that the same session, now, the session started first when they didn't eat, he got scared, and they said, don't worry, you don't have to worry about, we are the messenger of Allah, and then we'll give you good tidings, and this and that, and then we said, but there is a Lut, and you are going to punish Lut. Ibrahim, stay away from this, give up this plea, and so on. Okay, then after that, he says, فَقَالَ فَمَا خَطْبُكُمْ أَيُّهَا الْمُرْسَلُونَ. Okay, I don't argue, I don't go for this plea anymore. Then what is next, and what is your mission? Then what's your business, or what's your mission after that? They said, indeed, we have been sent to a people of criminals. Okay, mujrimeen. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the mujrimeen, is more than enough. Mujrimeen today, like criminals, even if somebody steals something from someone, okay, he's a mujrim, a criminal. But he makes tawbah, he gives back the compensation, whatever. Allah, he will easily come back to the normal path, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept his tawbah. But when Allah says mujrimeen, these people are really deviated people. Okay, they went astray completely. The real criminals in terms of iman and akhlaq. لنرسل عليهم حجارة من طين مسومة عند ربك للمسرفين. Now, description comes how the punishment will come. Okay, this is partial. The following ayats will describe even more. Now, to send down upon them stones of clay. Okay, marked in the presence in your Lord for the transgressors. In the presence of your Lord means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for each clay. Mandud, in the other ayats, there is description for this clay as mandud. Teen is a clay. Sijil, which was already on the fire, so it turned into the black rock. Very rough black rock. And mandud, which comes one after another. One, like the raining is coming, you know, one drop after another. So that one. So it's like the bullets from the machine gun, you know. This was the style of punishing these people, and the angels described to Ibrahim alayhis salam what type of punishment is expected to them. It's yet to come, and they already tell him what's going to happen with the people of Lut. Okay, and then these ayats which come after this, فَأَخْرَجْنَا, and we took out, or we saved them, or we brought them out, you know, from that village, the family of Lut and his family. Is it by past tense? Is it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his ilm, in his knowledge, it's already happened? That's why Malaika explained to Ibrahim that we were going to take him out, but the sentence says past tense, we have taken them out. They haven't taken them out because it's going to happen the next morning only, not now. But if they one of the possibilities that because it's already happened before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because his knowledge, Allah decreed, that's why they say we have brought out, even though it is yet to come in the future. Or there is a possibility that after this, the punishment to the people happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us with this ayah. We have taken them out, telling to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, later what happened, we took them out, the Lut and his family, but the punishment reached only to those who deserved it. So whatever it is, but these ayats anyway come together with the conversation of angels who visited Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now, subhanAllah, what is interesting, these ayats describe that only one family, all this while Lut alayhi salam was preaching and giving da'wah to those people, only his own family was Muslim family. Usually in contemporary time we say, people now became no adab, no haya, no, no akhlaq, before people used to be this. Look at these people. Look at these people who are ordinary people. It was Lut alayhi salam, it was Prophet himself. He used to preach and only his own family members, excluding his wife. Probably his 2 daughters. There is no one else except they say, according to some narration, he had 2 daughters. That's it. Even his own wife together with the criminals. No one converted to Islam. I mean, no one followed him. We talk about contemporary time. So it has nothing to do with that. It depends on whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Iman is right there. Doesn't matter written 1,000 years ago or now or in the future. May Allah make us all the mu'mineen. Okay, so this is another lesson that we take from this. Now, and then I want to share with you another point. I really want you to look at this. People usually differentiate between mu'mineen and muslimin. You see, angels described about man kana fiha min al-mu'minin, those who were mu'min or believers. We took them out, brought them out from that village. فما وجدنا فيها غير بيت من المسلمين. We didn't find in the whole village or whatever the town that they had, the place that they were dwelling, except one house of Muslims. So the possibility or the interpretation which says that when mu'minun and muslimun, they are used at the same time in the same place, mu'minun are higher level Muslims than just those who converted to Islam. I mean, within the area of Islam, but their level of iman is not that much high. But only one, when it's used, only one is considered as good Muslims, good mu'min. That doesn't matter, so it can be used. But if both of them are mentioned at the same time, the level of mu'mineen is higher than that. That is usual interpretation that we have. But look at this ayah. We can challenge that interpretation. Quran talks about the same family, Lut and his 2 daughters, and there is no one else. In one ayah it says mu'minin, in the other ayah it says muslimin. And so, being good Muslim is all it means mu'min. So that's why the same like in the qasas of Nuh alayhi salam, فَلَبِثَ فِيهِمْ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ إِلَّا 50 عَامًا. Nuh alayhi salam preached or gave da'wah to his people 1,000 years except 50. So one word is used am, the other one is sana. Some people try to differentiate between this and that. Sana and am basically is the same meaning, but the beauty of the Quran, in fawas al-Quran, the beauty of the Quran to use different words, phrases to describe. There is nothing else, no need to complicate things. Quran is not for complication. So mu'minun, muslimun, the Lut and his 2 daughters, they were mu'minun and they were muslimun. And it was only one house in the whole village or the town that they had there. So before that, I mean, earlier, how Lut happened to be there. Then they start moving from the original place of Ibrahim a.s., let's say from Iraq or wherever the area he was. When they started moving out from there, when Ibrahim was thrown to the fire and all these things happened, and they decided to flee to go for Hijrah, Ibrahim and his wife Sarah and his nephew Lut, some sources say together with his wife, Lut with his wife at that time. So they left. Ibrahim and his wife Sarah, they continued to their journey to Egypt because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered them. There again, trial happened to Ibrahim when his wife was taken away by the king at the time and all this. That's how the Hajar came to be as a gift to Ibrahim. I don't want to go to those details. Lut at that time, he decided to stay in the Palestine area. I mean, today's Jordan, Palestine, I don't want to say Israel, that area. So the Dead Sea area, whatever it is, that is the specific description for that. The Dead Sea area today, Al-Bahr al-Mayyit, so exactly at that place, because Quran confirms it. Okay, so this was the early, just to remind you. So he was there while Ibrahim went to Egypt, and then there was a trial, there was a test, then came back. All this while, Lut is giving da'wah to these people. Nobody follows except his own family. Now, struggle of Lut against the crimes of people. He used to, more than once, I mean many times, ولوطا إذ قال لقومه إنكم لتأتون الفاحشة ما سبقوا بها من أحد من العالمين. Now, Lut alayhi salam is shocked of what those people used to do. Even though I'm talking about Quran and describing what is in the Quran, I feel uncomfortable to talk about this to the extent, it's a shameless and a horrible, crimes, immoral crimes that they used to commit. Basically, this ayah confirms that this type of immorality, this homosexuality happened right there in that village. The beginning in the history of human beings, it started from there. Never happened before, because Quran confirmed. Lut tells them, none of the human beings who preceded you did this type of immoral things like you do. What happened to you? What is your aql? So he is shocked of what they do. إنكم لتأتون الرجال وتقطعون السبيل وتأتون في ناديكم المنكر. So you are doing all these immoralities among yourselves as men, and then you block the road, we call it, or basically blocking the road of the guests, disturbing the guests, those who come to that village. But we'll explain inshallah. And then when they gather in one session, those criminals, they used to work hard to think hard how to come up with additional crimes. What else of worse? What else we can do? Not like how we can bring back ourselves to Iman. No. The worst one. How is there anything, any plan? What can we do? They used to have fun out of it. They used to just get satisfied out of this. This is khalas, and their hearts were already sealed by the kufr and the immorality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, previous responses against Lut's preaching. Then how many times Quran describes? If only once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described in the Quran the reminder of Lut to his people would have been enough for us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look at this Surah Al-Ankabut, Surah Al-Naml, and then what else? In Surah Al-Shu'ara, and then in Surah Al-Hijr. 4, and there is another one, but these are only 4. In 4 different surahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us just about one fact. How Lut used to remind his people, and what was their response. So after I looked at all these ayats, I put them in an order, I can say. First, when he reminded them, فَمَا كَانَ جَوَابُ قَوْمِ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا, after he reminded, how do you do that? You're doing among yourselves and all these dirty, immoral things. إِئْتِنَا بِعَذَابِ اللَّهِ إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Bring us the azab of Allah if you think that you are that much right and what you say is true. Bring the azab. Okay, we'll do these things. To that extent, challenging Prophet Lut alayhi salam. Then after that, قالوا أخرجوا آل لوط من قريتكم إنهم ماذا أناس يتطهرون. The other time when he reminded, they said, these people, by right, the majority should describe the minority, those who do crimes. These people, take them out. They don't belong to our community. They, among themselves, they started making mockery at Lut alayhi salam in his preaching. These people, they are very clean. They want to keep themselves clean from this satisfaction. Take them out then. We don't need them. We will be just nice by our own community. I think it's the other way around, completely. So it means they are majority. Those immoral criminals, they were the majority, and Lut alayhi salam, just by himself alone and his 2 daughters, they couldn't just simply fight. But he continues. And then after that, the warning comes. After he reminds them, لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ يَا لُوطُ لَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُخْرَجِينَ. If you don't stop reminding us, if you don't stop, preventing us from all what we do, we'll just simply expel you from this area. Now, so what you warning, Then after that it comes, أَوْلَمْ نَنْهَكَ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. When the guests used to come and Lut alayhi salam started to protect, especially when angels after that came, and then he didn't know, of course, they were angels. He thought they are, just young, handsome men. And then they say, didn't we stop you? Didn't we warn you before that you should not stop us from approaching the guests who come to this village? It's like, not only don't even try to defend anybody. It's like your mission is just in your house. That's it. To that extent. Can you imagine it? Subhanallah. No wonder that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that turned into the Dead Sea and the Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Now, of course, before this, just what I explained up to now, until the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels who are there at that particular moment, in the house of Ibrahim, before they reached him, for years he used to remind these people, don't do, and then they make mockery and then threaten him. Okay, now finally they reached the house of Hud. ولما جاءت رسلنا لوطا سيء بهم وضاق بهم ذرعا وقال هذا يوم عسير. When he saw young handsome man came to his house, he got scared. Not like Ibrahim alayhi salam who saw them not eating the food, and because that one at least they are in your house and maybe they came to inform you about some troubles or whatever, but this one he got scared because nice handsome looking young man and he knows the criminals of his people. This is something, and then he said, this is a real trial day. Now, how me alone I'm going to protect these guests? Can you imagine this? I mean, these immoral creatures, not only among themselves, they used to do all these immoralities. Anybody who comes to their village, they also want to continue whatever they want. I mean, subhanallah, this is what they... وَجَاءَ قَوْمٌ, look at this. After the angels arrived, the rumor spread. You know, according to some interpretations, not in the Quran, but some interpretations, they say, his wife is the one who spread this news. Oh, come, young, nice, handsome-looking man came as visitors to my husband's house. Come. And those criminals are just looking for new crimes. This is just something that they're ready for, So, and then look at this. وَجَاءَ قَوْمٌ يُهْرَعُونَ. Faster. Not just simply coming and we heard that you have guests. No. They just not to lose the opportunity. Why? This is until how Quran specifically describes their behavior. Can you imagine this? Not only they themselves as haywanat, I'm sorry to say this, but anybody who comes to the village, they want to victimize them as well. This is unbelievable. So, and then what happened? And then Quran says, وَمِنْ قَبْلُ كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ السَّيِّئَاتِ. Wallahi, if you think about this ayah, it's so beautiful. وَمِنْ قَبْلُ, before that, they used to do these immoral crimes. Now, which means, starting from that night, none of them did it anymore. Or uncle, مِنْ قَبْلُ, they used to do it before, which means at that night, they will be finished. That's one thing. Second thing, they never touched malaika. It's important. If somehow, with very limited understanding, somebody who wants to read Quran, hey, how would you know? Maybe they indeed touched malaika and they said, before that, they used to do this crime. But starting from that night, they were not able. They didn't touch the malaika, even among themselves, khalas, it's finished because the azab is coming there. You understand? So this ayah, in case if somebody wants to think about, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't, no. The Quran confirms that. Yeah, anyway, these are angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال يا قوم هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم